proyek Garuda CBDC dan identitas digital.
Zamannya sudah zaman digital seperti ini. Mestinya ini semuanya bisa menggunakan. Kalau kita bisa menggunakan itu betul-betul kita bisa mandiri, hati-hati. Kita ingat sanksi dari Amerika Serikat ke Rusia, Visa dan Mastercard menjadi masalah.
Every person that I come in contact with in the public, I ask them, do you know what a CBDC is, or a central bank digital currency? And nobody knows.
The central bank digital currency is basically what we have now, so it's fiat currency, but it's going to be entirely digital.
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
Okay, Madam President, I know there are many protests in Europe against the electronic euro. What is the reason?
We have to be ready.
No, the problem is they don't want to be controlled. They don't want to...
Yeah, but you know what? Now we have in Europe this threshold. Above 1,000 euros, you cannot pay cash. If you do, you are on the grey market. So you take your risk. You get caught, you are fined, or you go in jail. But you know, the digital euro is going to have a limited amount of control. There will be control, you're right. You're completely right. We are considering whether for very small amounts, you know, anything that is around 300, 400 euros, we could have a mechanism where there is zero control. But that could be dangerous. The terrorist attacks on France back 10 years ago were entirely financed by those very small anonymous credit cards that you can recharge in total anonymity.
You know that the question is now I think that it's a joke, like a joke, that the next currency will be firewoods for Europe.
Will be what?
With a CBDC, a government could program your money so you can't buy fuel or plane tickets or even non-green foods and groceries once you hit your monthly carbon limit. Basically, your government will be able to completely control the things you can or cannot buy by programming your money.
What is the change you think they're trying to do right now to us?
Yes, well, actually, we have to look at the picture, the big picture of what has happened since 2020. And on the one hand, the central bankers have come out since 2020 very quickly, already in March 2020, with some public statements about what they want to do. And surprise, surprise, they want to introduce CBDCs. So that is clearly one goal. Now, in order to introduce central bank digital currencies, what they need is digital IDs.
All around the world, central bank digital currencies are either in pilot scheme or executive order stage in the States, or they're floating under the radar.
Every person that I come in contact with in the public, I ask them, do you know what a CBDC is, or a central bank digital currency? And nobody knows.
The central bank digital currency is basically what we have now, so it's fiat currency, but it's going to be entirely digital, which means absolutely in the control of the government and the central banks.
Such a system would give the state full access to the details of all transactions, as well as the ability to cut off an individual's money supply with the flick of a digital switch.
The CEO of the Bank for International Settlements recently told the world that the great thing about central bank digital currency was that they could track every transaction.
We tend to establish the equivalence with cash, and there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also we will have the technology to enforce that.
What he just told you is if you're not allowed to buy chocolate, your money won't work to buy chocolate. If you're not allowed to go more than 5 kilometers from your home, your car or your money won't work more than 5 kilometers from your home. And those rules can be dictated and controlled at a phenomenally central level.
Central bank digital currencies are programmable. So it essentially means that it's a much easier way to push agendas, political agendas. For example, the World Economic Forum is talking about implementing a carbon allowance. So every individual will be given a certain amount of carbon that they are allowed to emit into the atmosphere. With a central bank digital currency, this becomes far more efficient because with a click of a button, you literally just program the money. And so if for whatever reason you buy too many burgers, too many sausages one week, when you go to fill up your car, your money could be cancelled. It could get declined simply because you use too much of your carbon allowance, essentially. Or even if you go to buy a plane ticket, it could get cancelled. So it's much easier to push forward political agendas and political ideologies when you have money which is programmable with just a click of a button.
It actually gives government pretty much total control over our lives because they can just press a button and close our bank accounts. No, they wouldn't do that now, would they? Well, think about it. Those Canadian truckers, they were legally and lawfully going about their business driving trucks, but legislation came in demanding that unless they'd been double vaxxed, they couldn't continue in their cabins doing long-distance lorry driving. And they protested, and in the end, their bank accounts were closed down by the Canadian government.
With a central bank digital currency, if you do not hold the correct opinion, and if you're not a good citizen, then absolutely that money will be programmed to be used against you.
Our previous Chancellor, now unelected Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, is clearly a big fan.
Central bank digital currencies could be a digital version of money, a bit like a digital banknote. It's all part of the wider story of digital innovation that has delivered benefits to millions around the world and in the UK.
What would the benefits be to the general public?
Ease of use, I think, would be the only benefit.
Convenience.
Convenience, and that's how they're going to sell it.
The arguments for it are clear. It'll be quick, easy, cheap to transact. There'll be no problems at all, no loose change lying around. There'll be lots and lots of arguments for it.
But they won't tell you everything else. They won't tell you how it will be programmed. They won't tell you that it's a spy coin. They won't tell you that they're trying to phase out cash and that they want to track absolutely everything that you're doing.
The cons definitely outweigh any type of pros when it comes to, programming it for benefits and things like that. Because the money can also expire. Not enough people talk about that. During times of economic uncertainty, central banks like to print more money in order to stimulate the economy. But we could get to a point where instead of printing money, they say, well, if you don't spend 10% of your savings in the next 3 months, then this money is going to expire simply because they need that money to change hands.
If I want to double taxes and just take it out of your account, no problem.
They can take your taxes out without you having to bother to pay. They can decide what comes to them first.
This is Richard Werner, the top academic scholar in the world on central banking.
Also, they never talk about the nature of this CBDC. What is it actually going to look like?
you can. If you can persuade 10 members of your friends and family to do the same, and then persuade 10 members of their family or friends, and we spread this virally, there would be a revolution. We have the power individually to shift the entire state of affairs.
We have the power to stop this. We do. The only way this can succeed is if people like you and people like me sit on our ass, sit on the couch, don't get up, don't show up, and go along with it.
If you look at the global control grid, it is us, we the people, who are financing it. We are going to work and we are building it. We are spending money in it. We are supporting it. We are supporting the people who are leading it. And we have the power to stop, because they are few and we are many. And if we just stop helping, they can't do it.
Everybody has power. Every single person. Because when you get a whole bunch of people, even if they have a little bit of power each, and you put it all together, now they got a lot of power. Now they can make governments do what they want.
You think a snowflake is powerless until you realize enough of them get together, they can shut down New York City. There are millions and millions of people all over the world fighting. People are pushing back all over, and it's very significant. The human race does not want to be controlled. Freedom has won every time, and every time it looked hopeless. What they're trying to do is so against the fundamental wisdom in the universe that they will fail. You have nothing to lose by fighting it all the way down to the wire every day, because the alternative is something not only do you not want to live in it, but you do not want to arrive at the pearly gates and say that your soul accepted it.
The goal is actually on the monetary side. That is the prize they're aiming for. They're aiming for CBDCs connected to digital IDs. And that means we're talking about the most totalitarian control system in human history.
We have the power to stop, because they are few and we are many. And if we just stop helping, they can't do it.